Good evening. I'm Arunima. Dhanteras, Choti Diwali and then Diwali. The celebrations have begun. For the last 2 years, festivities have only been virtual. Greetings were conveyed over phones or Zoom sessions. Celebrations were all indoors. But as COVID numbers go down, a viral fervor has gripped people. COVID fatigue is apparent as shopper throngs market. Government too, it seems, is favouring a reboot to pre-COVID times, asking students to return to physical classrooms. Are we learning to live with COVID, or is this an open dare ahead of Diwali, inviting a possible third wave? That is what we ask on Debrief tonight. We have ground reports from Delhi-NCR markets, a roundup of schools as students return, and how the world is coping up with COVID's comeback as they embark on life without restrictions. It's a bumper Diwali for shopkeepers in Delhi-NCR markets. After a lull of 2 years, shoppers have returned in droves. Some with the mask, many without it. Nikhil Lakwani took a round of Lajpat Nagar, Sarojini Nagar and Sadar Bazaar to find out the crowd is making it impossible to ensure social distancing. That government's assurance of enforcing COVID-appropriate behaviour has gone for a toss.
Days before the festival of Diwali, unprecedented rush is seen in different prominent markets of national capital. On one side, it is going to boost the economy. On another, surge in COVID cases. We are saying so because the experts believe human behavior is the deciding factor in COVID wave.
Lajpat, Sarojini, Sadar, Chandni Chowk, you name the market, and images like these are irregular this festival season. The shopkeepers are ecstatic, but health keepers watch the situation unfold nervously.
We do sanitize our shop every day, and the mask is available for the customers if they don't carry the mask. Sanitize their hands, and temperature is already doing on the proper basis. It's not like, okay, leave it for today, but we are doing every day. So market is to prepare for this.
आपने देखा होगा 2 साल कितने परेशान थे. अब बड़ा व्यापार अच्छा है, विकास की ओर हम जा रहे हैं. सभी खरीद कस्टमर आ रहे हैं, मास्क लगा के आ रहे हैं, वो भी कोरोना के नियमों का पालन कर रहे हैं.
The Delhi government had promised enforcement of COVID-appropriate behaviour and shut down if norms were violated. But our camera caught shopper after shopper wearing the mask inappropriately or not wearing it at all. When we asked Neeti at Lajpat Nagar market in Delhi about her mask,
wearing a mask is one of that. I'm sorry, I cannot hold it too long because I have a problem of breathing. So I cannot hold it, but yes, you have to carry the mask. Now the vaccination, everybody is vaccinated. So they are taking certain precautions. We are also carrying, that sanitizer wherever we are going. So we are carrying that. But yes, meanwhile it is going on.
I do see markets are prepared, but not all markets. But I do see some good stores, they are prepared. They are taking the necessary precautions. So mask, sanitization, that I'm seeing around. But not everybody can afford all sorts of precautions as well. So that is there.
Neighbouring Noida did not paint a rosy picture either.
These are the visuals we are bringing you from the Atta side of the market. Now this is one of the prominent market in the Noida district, and clearly you can see people are thronging the market. They are flouting the norms laid by the government, laid by the administration. Nobody is wearing their masks properly, and this is the situation similar in every part of the Delhi-NCR.
Most shoppers and shopkeepers display COVID fatigue, having stayed indoors for close to 2 years. Adding to the lowering of the guard is the fact that Delhi has only seen 4 deaths in the month of October, and 75% of eligible Delhiites have been vaccinated at least once.
100 करोड़ लोगों को वैक्सीन लग चुकी है. दिल्ली में भी काफ़ी हद तक लोगों को लग चुकी है. अभी सीरो रेट भी आया, वो 90% है. इसलिए लोग थोड़ा बेफिक्र हो गए हैं. अच्छी बात है.
Experts, however, say that the virus, with its capacity to mutate, is unpredictable. It is human behavior that will decide if the worst is over or an invitation is being extended to the third wave.
Many people have even started ignoring the COVID norms and are not following the COVID appropriate behavior. It increases the chances of transmission. As we have seen after Dashera and Durga Puja, there was a rise in number of cases in Bengal, although the numbers were relatively low, but it shows that new people have been infected.
Last year after the festival of Diwali, India recorded more than 30% jump in the new COVID cases. This year, if the similar situation to last year persists, then we all know who is to be blamed. With camera person Ramashankar, Nikhil Lakhwani for CNN, News 18.
So Delhi-NCR has chosen celebrations over caution. Is it any better in other parts of the country? Joining me, Nikhil is there from the Atta market of Noida, Uttar Pradesh. Atta is crowded generally, and I'll ask Nikhil about that. Aparna Bose is expected to join me from Kolkata. But Swastika, coming to you first. At Hyderabad's Miapur market, that's where you're joining me from. Are situations any different in the southern part of the country? Because we showed you how crowd is thronging in northern India.
Well, Arunima, if you talk about the COVID situation in Telangana on the whole, it's much better according to the government numbers. There are only 160 cases today, and the fatality rate is also below the national average. But, you know, the situation in West Bengal, wherein post Durga Puja, where we're seeing a huge surge in COVID case, that fear is also persisting in other parts of the state. Just take a look around me. Tomorrow is Dhanteras, and then 2 days later we have Diwali. You can see lights and all are decked up, and COVID fatigue is something that was bothering people in the last 1 year. So they have decided to come out, and how? Not wearing masks. You can see there is hardly any social distancing on the ground. People shopping for vegetables, fruits, lights. All of this is happening at full scale without any restriction. There are no police officers also on the ground to ensure people wear masks and adhere to COVID appropriate behavior. Pretty much the situation in any busy market area in Hyderabad. And that is something which is really concerning at the moment. The state, in terms of vaccination, is way behind when it comes to second dose coverage. We have not even crossed 1 crore, and that is a big concern here for the state government, which has scaled up the vaccination drive, but there's vaccine hesitancy, which is why people are not going forward and taking their second dose. So if the situation continues like that, if we let our guard down, then it is a situation that is pretty scary, because festive season is here, and letting our guard down is not an option here.
Right. Nikhil, Atta, where you're reporting from, it's a market which is generally crowded. But do you see even those standards getting set aside, those records also being broken by the Diwali crowd?
Well, obviously, Arunima, and as you have mentioned, Atta is one of the prominent market in the Noida district. It comes in sector 18, and clearly you can see even this is the shopkeeper who is here. आप एक बार बताइए, कोविड अभी खत्म हुआ नहीं है, कोरोना भी खत्म हुआ नहीं है, आप दुकानदारी चला रहे हैं, ठीक है, सरकार ने बहुत सारे रियायतें भी आपको दे दी हैं, आपको पता है, फिर भी आप लोग मास्क वगैरह नहीं पहने, मतलब इतने बोलने के बावजूद भी नहीं पहने, ऐसा क्यों, क्या कारण लगता है आपको?
बोलो कमाने के ऊपर नहीं है, कहाँ से खाएंगे?
So this is the situation. They are very speechless. Still, they are not wearing their mask properly. So these are the visuals we are bringing you from the Atta market, one of the prominent market. Now people are flouting the social distancing norms laid down by the government. They are not adhering to the guidelines mentioned by the administration. Even the shopkeepers who are here, because this is one such market which has a roadside vendors as well. So not only the visitors, but shopkeepers as well are not following the COVID appropriate behavior. Clearly, you can see in the visuals as well, nobody is daring to wear their masks properly, and similar is the situation in entire Delhi-NCR, be it Gurugram, be it Ghaziabad, Noida or Delhi as well. We have been to different prominent markets in the national capital Delhi this morning, and people were seriously, avoiding the social distancing norms. Many of the markets we have been, especially the Sadar Bazaar, Chandni Chowk market, Lajpat Nagar market, where there was not even proper space to walk properly. So such is the situation. And what the medical experts have been saying, that human behavior is what is a deciding factor in COVID behavior. So such is the situation in entire Delhi-NCR.
Hardly any space for you to walk as well, Nikhil. I can see social distancing not getting enforced there. Thanks for joining us. I'm also being joined by Aparna. Aparna, Swastika was mentioning this, that, West Bengal post Durga Puja was seeing a surge. So between Durga Puja and Kali Puja, has Bengal learnt any lessons?
West Bengal government, this is the latest that we have got, that West Bengal government has uplifted the restrictions that were imposed previously, that is the night curfew that was imposed previously from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. That has been lifted once again from 2nd November to 5th November, which is also lifted as of now. I would like to take you through the COVID numbers, the latest numbers of today in the last 24 hours that have been recorded. There are 725 cases that have been reported and 8 deaths that have been reported in the last 24 hours. The positivity rate in West Bengal stands at 2.49% as of 1st of November. I am currently at Goriahat market, which is considered to be one of the most crowded market in Kolkata, and I would also like to take you through the visuals. That as you can see that there is a huge crowd here. People are thronging the markets right ahead of Kali Puja, but yes, people are wearing masks. There are Kolkata police who have been deployed at various places. I would also like my camera person to pan and show that there is a police van and there are cops who have been deployed, Kolkata police who have been deployed to ensure that people abide by COVID protocols, and masks is one of the things that police have been asked to ensure that people abide by the people wear masks properly and not just wear chin masks, which we have seen in most of the public there. But here we have seen that one thing that is worrisome is that the social distancing thing. Social distancing is something that has completely gone for the toss. As you can see,
all right.
People are crowding out here. This is completely a crowded area. The Goria Huts, one of the
right. Aparna, thank you so much for getting us that view from West Bengal. Like Aparna there was reporting, looks like it ultimately takes policemen and law enforcers to ensure that people follow COVID appropriate behavior. Thank you to Swastika, Nikhil and Aparna. Now, remember your first day at school? Nervous you, worried parents, nervous teachers too. A mixture of anticipation and excitement. Well, those were the emotions that ran high in Delhi, Tamil Nadu and Kerala today as classrooms were thrown open to students across grades. Prashasti, Purnima and Neetu were there to capture the moment when students returned for physical classes after the COVID-induced break of almost 2 years.
Happy days again in the classrooms, when learning and laughter coexist. A near 2-year wait for children has come to an end. And the doors of schools in Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Delhi have been thrown open once again.
Schools have reopened in the national capital, but it's imperative to ask the students to adhere to the COVID-19 guidelines. Notices have been put up across the school to aware the students about the COVID-19 guidelines. According to the SOPs, 50% of the capacity of the classrooms will be allotted to the incoming students.
एक समय था जब 1 लाख टेस्ट कराने पे 27,000 लोग 28,000 लोग पॉजिटिव आते थे. आज 1 लाख टेस्ट करा रहे हैं रोजाना, तो 27-28 लोग बमुश्किल, कभी बार तो 19 हुए हैं, 15 भी हुए हैं, लोग पॉजिटिव आ रहे हैं. तो वैसे में अब डेटा ये बता रहा है कि कोरोना पूरी तरह से कंट्रोल में है.
In Delhi's Vidya Bal Bhavan Senior Secondary School, students were welcomed with a round of applause. As they entered the school premises, they were thermally scanned, given hand sanitizers and asked to follow social distancing.
We have instructed our teachers and they have already taken the workshop the student, mentioning them how to be in the school, how to follow the guidelines in the classroom. They have to take their stationery separate. And so we have issued all the guidelines. We have counseled the parents through online modes. We have counseled the students and waiting for the student.
This is a particular isolation room wherein beds have been placed as well. So this is strictly in event of children experiencing COVID-like symptoms, including the likes of fever, sore throat and difficulty in breathing. So this is what we are seeing, that beds have been placed here as well. And also the isolation room is equipped with the presence of a nurse.
Only 50% of the school's capacity of students are allowed at once to maintain social distancing. To ensure this, notices and pamphlets have been put up across the schools. But in Thiruvananthapuram, this certainly hasn't dampened the spirit of students.
I felt so happy to see my friends, and only the sadness is I can't play with my friends, I can't touch them, I can't hug him. It's a sadness I felt.
We are inside a 5th standard class in St. Mary's School, Pattam. Here we can see that the number of students are limited. Only about 8 in this class, and each bench only 2 of them. And In front of each one of them, we can see that a sanitizer is kept. They're all masked up. They are keeping their distance from each other. So these 5th standard students, they haven't seen their friends for like 1.5 years. So after 3rd standard, this is the first time they're actually coming into class.
In Chennai too, students were ecstatic to be back in the classroom. Teachers welcomed their respected batches and were relieved to take physical classes for the first time in almost 2 years.
Excitement in the air here at the Girls Higher Secondary School in Ashok Nagar, where students are enthusiastically entering the school premises. Every student is thoroughly checked as they enter the school campus, right from ensuring that their temperatures are checked, their hands are sanitized, and they are also greeted with sweets, considering that they are entering the school after a gap of 20 months. So students from class 1 to 8 are finally attending classes in person.
Like everyone else, children too have endured their share of trauma during the devastating second wave. But with COVID numbers declining, it's important to let children believe that normalcy is finally here. With Prashasti Chandilya, Neetu Regukumar and Purnima Murli, Anisya Kumar for CNN News 18.
One of the reasons schools have reopened is because vaccination sero-survey numbers all favor an unlock. The red flag, though, is the situation in the rest of the world, where even after vaccination, COVID rages on. Can you then drop the guard down here in India? Rajiv Kumar finds out.
Delhi, once the epicenter of COVID outbreak, had a tame October. Delhi, which recorded around 5 lakh new coronavirus cases in April this year, was down to just over 1,000 in October. The monthly death figure too plummeted from a high of over 8,000 in May this year to just 4 deaths in October. The 6th and the last sero survey too had added to the good news for the city. 9 out of 10 Delhiites have developed antibodies against the deadly virus. This means that the city is unlikely to witness a devastating COVID wave like the one seen in April and May this year. The high vaccination rate in the city of around 1.87 crore estimated population too has added to this optimism. No wonder people are throwing caution to the air during the ongoing festive season, but there are reasons to be scared as there are several countries abroad where COVID is raging. The UK, with around 70% fully vaccinated population, is again in the grip of deadly COVID wave. In October alone, the country of just around 6.72 crore people added 2.1 lakh active cases and around 4,000 deaths to its tally. In August last year, Russia became the first country to approve COVID-19 vaccine. However, a year later, the country is struggling with the raging virus. New cases hitting a record high. Last month alone, Russia added over 2.8 lakh active cases to its tally. The COVID-induced death toll too rose by over 30,000 in October. Worried over the spread of untamed virus, capital Moscow has been shut down for 11 days for non-essential services. Germany is witnessing a steep rise in daily cases despite having vaccinated 2/3 of its population. In October this year alone, it added over 61% cases to its active caseload. A worried Chancellor Angela Merkel blamed recklessness for the surge. The Netherlands, which has fully vaccinated around 69% of its people, has witnessed nearly 43% rise in active cases in the last 1 week. France, with 68% fully vaccinated population, is no better, with around 12% rise in active cases in the same period. The lessons from Europe are clear. The national capital recorded 45 fresh infections yesterday, the highest daily number recorded last month. With a new strain AY 4.2 already lurking around, experts feel it's definitely not the time to be reckless. With Rajiv Kumar, this is Yash Goyal for CNN News 18.
Taking a break. When we come back, we'll tell you why COVID is not the only worry, especially if you live in Delhi-NCR. Welcome back. Before the break, we told you about the rising cases in Europe even after a significant part of the population has been vaccinated. That is the worry that health experts have for India. That COVID attacks the lungs is known to all. Now, will it be a double whammy if post-Diwali air quality goes down further? Warnings have already been sounded for those who have respiratory issues. But then there is the silver lining too. October, in a departure from previous years, has thrown up good air days. Should that make us breathe easy? Ritanshu answers.
First, the good news. If you live in the national capital, you breathe better this October than you did in the last 4 years. Thanks to record-breaking rainfall, the average air quality in October this year was 173, much less than the 265 in 2020, 234 in 2019 and 264 in 2018. Now the bad news. From here, it's going to get worse, much worse. On Monday, the air quality index came down to 302, officially in the very poor section. Look at some of the figures at just 1 p.m. Mathura Road 314, Nehru Nagar 317, Chandni Chowk 325. The satellite towns aren't much better either. Noida is at 334, Ghaziabad at 328.
The air quality index in the national capital Delhi has crossed the level of 300, which stands in the very poor category. And this is before the festival of Diwali. So after the burning of crackers, the experts are expecting that the AQI in the national capital Delhi is expected to cross the level of 500.
With the skies clear this time, residents of NCR have little hope of things improving. With Diwali later this week likely to see several violations of the cracker ban and stubble burning in neighbouring states continuing unabated. And now for the really ugly part. Continuous exposure to Delhi's deadly polluted air dramatically increases your risk of contracting chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And the weaker you are, the more vulnerable you are to the coronavirus. In fact, according to a study by researchers at the Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, the COVID-19 virus may have piggybacked on black carbon to trigger Delhi's third wave in November last year. Black carbon is a major constituent of the soot that hangs in the air due to stubble burning. The study found a 10-fold increase in infection counts to a peak of 8,500 new cases in Delhi during November 2020. Simply put, if Delhiites are not careful in the coming few days, the air they breathe can literally kill them. Ritanshu Bhattacharya for CNN News 18.
If you're not careful in Delhi-NCR, the air you breathe can kill you. So then, mask up, stay away from polluting crackers and have a safe, happy Diwali. Good night.